Welcome to another episode of Blockbusting. I'm your host, Jay Light, and with me, my guest today, Melanie Vesey.
Hi.
Hi, Melanie.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So good to see you.
And it's good to see you too.
Good.
We've been trying to set this episode up for a little bit. You have one of my favorite movies that we're going to be talking about as far as movies to hate.
Oh.
Because I have not seen it, and I have heard that there's a wonderful amount of praise levied to this movie, but I've also heard a lot of criticism about this movie, but we'll get into it later.
Yes.
Let's talk some movie box office results
Let's
before
do
we get
it.
into that hate.
Let's do it.
This is coming to us courtesy of Box Office Mojo. Coco hopes to add to Disney's legacy at the Thanksgiving box office. Oh, excuse me, this is the more up-to-date version. How did I fuck this up already? Let's try it again. Let's go for today's. Coco scores another strong Thanksgiving debut for Disney. So they predicted right. Box Office Mojo got it right.
I saw it last night.
You saw it?
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was really good. Pixar. I'm really turning out to be an incredibly jaded moviegoer, so I just saw a lot of strings and very kind of flimsy plot points that were a little bit of a bummer to me, but still cried. Pixar just knows how to pluck those heartstrings.
They really do.
They really do.
Pixar is a tier factory.
Yeah, they're totally like, we have the formula and we will just unleash it on you despite some flimsy plot structure.
Yeah, we can get away with it. We're Pixar.
Yep.
We're brilliant.
They know.
What did you think the Frozen short beforehand I've heard is too long. It's 21 minutes long. I hear a lot of people aren't digging it. What's your thoughts?
I love Olaf kind of more than the entire movie of Frozen. I know when I saw Frozen and I saw Olaf's performance, I was like, that dude's like the next movie. Like the next movie's going to be about Olaf, and I was right. I feel like Olaf, whoever that actor is,
Josh Gad,
and the writers, I feel like they just have a synergy and they've nailed it. Like, so I could watch Olaf and his little whatevers. Like the 20 minutes didn't bother me.
Wow, I haven't seen a Pixar movie in theaters since maybe Toy Story 3.
God, okay.
And Coco is, I mean, I wanted to see Inside Out in theaters. I never got around to it. But Coco's the first one in a little bit that has made me go, oh, yeah, I should probably go see that in theaters.
Yeah. It's worth it. There's some incredibly beautiful images, and they also explain it before the movie rolls, that what they did to make sure that it looked as beautiful and authentic and gorgeous, and
that's something that Pixar has always done a really great job of too.
Yeah, it's no expense spared. It's like no expense spared.
Exactly. One of the things I remember in college, I took this class called Cinema Aesthetics, where we had to do a lot of studying of cinematography and art direction and production design, and I did my final project in that class on WALL-E. And how the design of that movie enhanced the movie so much, because all of the stuff on Earth is all a certain color palette. It's all like grays and browns, and everything in space is blue and fancy and shiny and white, and everything and everything's round up there, and everything on Earth is square, and everything looks
jagged and rough and
exactly. And Pixar, throughout their entire history of filmmaking, has done a really great job. And it's saying this world of Coco, based on just production stills and trailers alone, looks like they're keeping keeping things flowing right.
My dad calls it responsible movie making. Like when you're responsible about it. Like, and it was funny because my stepmom is an art director in advertising for years and years, and she was telling me that when they were making Frozen, that they because they were in LA, and they needed to figure out how her dress would move in snow. So they literally flew an actress and a DP and an entire crew, like to Switzerland, whatever, to see how the actress's dress would move in snow. So this is Disney, not Pixar, before Disney and Pixar merged, whatever. But so that is like, I mean, of course, there's no expense spared in that.
Right.
Area.
And there shouldn't be expense spared. If you want to try to make the best movie possible, then you should really pay very careful attention to how you spend your money.
So then there's an actress literally like in the snow with the dress, and they're filming it. Like that's, if you have the budget to do incredible, responsible movie making, that's how it should be.
That's that Mickey Mouse money. So much money. And here's how much money Coco made. Coco has made $49 million just on the 3-day weekend. That's not even counting since Wednesday when it officially opened. Since Wednesday, it has made $71 million.
It's going to crush. It's going to crush, internationally, and then, video sales, and, it's great.
It's historically doing a really great job. It's about the same, or a little bit over, in fact, the highest grossing animation debuts from Tangled and Moana, which both did a great job, and Coco is tracking above both of those. Coco made over Tangled made over $200 million domestically, and Moana made over $250 million domestically. So I could see this maybe cracking into the 300s.
I agree with that. I also feel like it was interesting in watching the short of Frozen before watching Coco, because Frozen is just like white. Here's some more white people. Oh, and some more white people and more white people. Like there wasn't a shred of diversity in that film. And then
especially
you flip over
Snowman, the ultimate white person. Not to be racist against snowmen.
Seriously, it's hard.
Snow people.
Yeah, exactly. Hello. And then, to move over into Coco and, to see a almost 100% Latino movie, and also too that they know that that's the demographic. Our demographic is that,
right.
White people are mostly becoming a minority, and that it is very important to include people of color and diversity and things of, gender and all of that stuff, because they have to grow with the demographic, which knows this and is that,
They're
smart.
Spot on. Very smart. Very smart. Let's talk about some less smart filmmaking going on. At number 2 in the box office, Justice League. $40 million. It's already done poorly. It's already continuing to do poorly. Underwhelming, which is crazy. I mean, we talked about this last week. The fact that a movie can be making as much money as it is and still be considered underwhelming is ludicrous to me.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. Have you seen Justice League?
No, I probably won't.
I probably won't either.
I'm like literally after my experience of seeing Wonder Woman, like I just turned to my family and I'm like, I'm not going to see another CGI movie. Like I'm so over it. It's painful for me. It's really painful. So I don't like the superhero plot has just gotten so thin, and
superhero movies are very difficult to do a new spin on these days. Everything so formulaic.
Oh my
Everything
God.
is so overdone. That's the thing I liked about, Thor Ragnarok, which is number 4 at the box office. You have a different kind of director in there. You bring in a comedy director, and you put in a different visual spin on it to make it more comic book visually.
I've heard great things about this movie.
Thor Ragnarok is fantastic, and Thor Ragnarok is making buckets of money and should. Justice League is, let's be gritty. Let's be angsty movie,
Right.
Let's make an angsty movie about superheroes.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much, I don't care how much cool music, how much Rolling Stones you throw in.
Oh my God, I'm tired of that too.
It's not going to work. Thor Ragnarok can get away with putting in 2 Led Zeppelin songs and playing Immigrant Song twice because it's a really, really cool movie on top of it. Justice League can't get away with that.
Yeah, that's just polishing the turd. Yeah. You're just like...
It's like how Suicide Squad had Bohemian Rhapsody in its trailer. Made me go, oh, that movie's going to be really cool. And then all of a sudden, I can't watch 10 minutes of that movie.
I think that movie was completely carried by the costume designer and the makeup artist. I know that I went to Comic-Con this year, and I don't know how many times I saw the girl with the pigtails. I don't even know who that was. Like, every girl
Harley
wanted
Quinn.
to be. Yeah. And it was just like that. I think that was just, the finger on the pulse.
That's what they won their Oscar for, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Good job.
Yeah.
The Oscar winner, Suicide Squad. Oh God, I puked a little bit in my mouth just saying that.
So going back to the Thor thing, like, do you think the anti formula is what's working? Like, don't get a superhero director, get a comedy director who can come in and bring some like a different point of view to it. Like, go against what you think you might want to do.
Because think about this: I never saw the second Captain America, Winter Soldier, but it was directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, who are very well known in the TV comedy world. They directed a lot of episodes of Arrested Development. They directed a lot of episodes of other sitcoms. So when they were brought in to direct Winter Soldier, they put a different spin on it and made it a political thriller and not just a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Which I think helped that movie get, A, really great reviews, and B, do really well at the box office because it takes the genre and puts it in a different kind of it doesn't put it in the same kind of box that you're used to seeing with other superhero movies. And especially given that the Marvel universe is going to continue expanding and has already, dipped its tendrils into TV.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is you got to have stuff that is going to be different in order to get people to continue to go see those movies.
I really think that it's the addition of anybody having to do with comedy. I really feel like I mean, not to, let's toot our horns here. But I feel like whenever I've made short films, I always cast comedic actors in dramatic roles because I feel like they just bring a nuance and a depth to it that a normal dramatic actor just doesn't have.
Yep.
And I feel like the same thing with writers, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, to be a comedian, you have to have a darker side and to bring that into a dramatic role as a writer. And also what you're saying too, like as a dramatic director as well, I feel like it just kind of fleshes out whatever's around the edges there, which makes it a deeper, better experience for people. And a little comic relief once in a while. So it's just not one fucking note for fucking 2 fucking hours.
Exactly. That's the thing. And we're going to jump. We got to jump around the box office at this point to get to this movie. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I saw this week.
I haven't seen it. I can't wait.
Fantastic.
Of course it is.
And Martin McDonagh, the writer and director of that movie,
of course it is,
has proven himself with this movie, and definitely to some extent with In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths, his 2 before this.
In Bruges is one of my all-time favorite movies.
This is gonna
top 100.
This is going to top In Bruges for you. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
That's hard.
It's definitely in my top 3 for the year, and I think it's absolutely going to cement itself as a front runner in the awards season. It's got a really strong dramatic plot line but it's a black comedy.
Based on a true story, right? Comedies. Based on a true story?
It's not really exactly a true story. It's based on sort of it's set in essentially modern times.
Okay, got it.
There's a lot of stuff that is very relevant and of the era that's going on in the movie,
understood.
As far as stuff with police investigations, advertising, the way people, mob mentality, all this kind of stuff that's sort of been bubbling under the surface.
Yeah,
is really starkly brought out in this movie.
I can't wait.
And it's really dark, and there's a lot of really harsh scenes and a lot of really dramatic stuff, but you're laughing almost constantly throughout this movie. And the fact that this movie works as well as it does, I would say, is directly because there is so much comedy in this movie. If there was not enough comedy in 3 Billboards, then 3 Billboards would be a slog to get through because of how heavy the subject matter is.
You need the release. You need the release. You need to let it go and to let it rip, and that's why the pendulum has to swing sometimes so that you have it.
Got to get to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Can't just be so self-serious all the time. That's the other. If you're looking at some of these movies who also are populating the box office right now, you got Wonder at number 3, which is a movie about a kid with a deformed face. Now,
is this Julia Roberts?
Owen Wilson.
I just saw that and I was like, there isn't enough money in the world to make me see this movie.
And I wouldn't want to see it, and I would imagine the only reason that when they're showing the trailers for this movie...
Who is the demographic on that movie?
I mean, it's made $69 million. Nice. $69 million at the box office so far in the course of the past 2 weeks. Made 22.3 this week. It's a family movie. It's PG. It's the kind of thing where your parents are going to be taking their kids to this movie and being like, don't make fun of kids. Don't make fun of your peers. No bullying.
Okay, I get that.
And there's a lot of people smiling and laughing. But if there's nobody smiling and laughing in the trailer for that movie, nobody would go see that fucking movie.
No.
Because I don't want to watch an hour and a half. I don't want to watch an hour of a kid with a deformed face.
Jesus.
It's too much. You
know.
saw that movie?
No.
You just saw a trailer?
I saw a trailer, and I couldn't imagine. Although, the movie Mask with Cher and was Eric Stoltz, that movie was fucking incredible. That was a guy with a deformed face. I mean, they nailed it.
Yeah.
But it seemed, just my judgment of it, it just seemed like schmaltzy as fuck.
It seems like a Lifetime movie that got graduated to being a full blockbuster status.
Could not. It
not
can't.
For me.
Not for moi.
And again, other not for me types of movies out of the box office right now. Murder on the Orient Express. I don't really care. Daddy's Home 2. All right. A sequel to a movie I didn't want to see in the first place. Great. At number 5 and number 6. The Star. An animated version of the Nativity. Oh, great. if it's a movie that I'm going to get roped into seeing with my little baby cousins if I'm still living in Texas.
Sure.
A Bad Mom's Christmas. Again, sequel to a movie I didn't really want to care about seeing in the first place.
Oh, don't even get me started about that.
And then at number 9, proving that there is still a lot of star power with Mr. Denzel Washington, Roman J. Israel Esquire. A movie that I do not know what it's about.
I don't even know what that is.
Don't know what it's about.
I've never even heard of it.
I see billboards for it. The typeface design, very good. Everybody loves Helvetica. Everybody loves seeing the back of Denzel Washington's head with an afro and a sweet maroon suit. But I don't know what the fuck that movie's about.
Okay.
It's a lawyer.
Fill in a void. I don't know. There's a lot there that I'm not interested in.
There's a lot. That's the thing. We're in the phase right now. It's sort of this lull period where there's a lot of movies that we know are coming out very soon that are extremely good.
Oh, we got Star Wars coming up.
Coming out in a couple weeks. Award season stuff's going to kick in. We've got the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie's going to be coming out soon. We've got The Disaster Artist coming out this weekend.
Oh my God!
Which I'm so excited
So
about.
excited!
And then, of course, in award season, there's going to be movies going back into theaters. Get Out's going to be going back into the theaters for an awards run.
Okay.
Dunkirk is going to be going back into theaters for an awards run. So there are plenty of movies that are going to be out, and people can see Darkest Hour and Call Me By Your Name are both going to go into wide release soon. More awards contenders.
Sure.
But right now we're in this weird sort of fallow period in between, the Thanksgiving box office, which obviously was going to be dominated by Coco anyway.
Yeah.
Pixar movie, family movie, something you can go see with everybody else.
Sure.
I tell you what, I would never go see 3 Billboards with my family members. I would totally go because it's just not their cup of tea.
I think that's probably the worst part is leaving that, knowing that it was your favorite movie, and them just being like, I don't really get it. I don't know why. And you would be like, that's the most frustrating thing.
It
Is
really is.
I think that's why Wonder works on those people, your family, and 3 Billboards is for you.
3 Billboards is for me.
Magically made for you.
Dark souls on the inside. Let's talk about some other movie-related news that came out this week.
Let's do it.
So, first, we're going to cover from Vice magazine. This is a story about an old comedy classic. Sacha Baron Cohen wants to reimburse tourist fined for wearing Borat's mankini. So, there were Czech tourists vacationing in Kazakhstan who were wearing the mankinis, like what?
Yeah, the thing that goes, the dental floss up his ass, over the shoulder, over the balls.
Exactly.
Sure.
So the Kazakhstani police arrested 6 Czech men after they dressed up like Borat for a photo op, complete with Borat-style wigs and lime green matching mankinis.
It's a good time.
They were charged $67 each for minor hooliganism.
Where are they going to get this kind of money?
I don't know. That's a lot of money. You got to come up with Kazakhstan ATM fees are through the roof. But Sacha Baron Cohen coming through in the clutch, saying, "Hey, to my Czech mates who were arrested, send me your details and proof that it was you, and I will pay for your fine."
He's totally like, I've got $500 to splurge on this and some free press.
Yeah,
it
it's
sounds
only
great.
6 dudes at $67 each for the fine. I can do some math right now thanks
How
to the magic
much
of Google.
I just
It's
guessed.
$400.
Oh, Jesus.
$402. So $500. That's enough to cover whatever PayPal fees. You're gonna have to be paying, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Some wiring it, transfer fees, some
Very
Western Union.
It's a good move for Sacha Baron Cohen. I don't know what he's doing these days.
That is so funny. Like Jay-Z and like Beyonce are like getting people out of jail for protesting, and he's totally like, I will take care of anyone wearing a mankini in the Eastern Bloc to the tune of $400.
Well, that's the other thing, because that movie did not do well in Kazakhstan. So this is probably just like another twisting of the knife from Sacha Baron Cohen. Be like, oh, I'm going to make fun of your country ruthlessly on film. Oh, you don't like whenever these people are going to wear mankinis based on the movie?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to set him free.
Yeah, that sounds
you guys
great.
Are pieces of, and then there we go.
Yeah.
They banned him from using their .kz domain, threatened him with lawsuits, and almost banned the movie from Kazakhstan entirely.
I think this is called the Streisand effect, where in trying to cover it up, you actually make it more attractive. Like in trying to cover it up, you actually made it bigger. You know what I mean? Like more attention, more news, more press, more like, banned film. You know what I mean? People want to see that. They want that.
Yeah. People want to read banned books.
So
people want to see banned movies.
Congratulations, guys. You did a great job. You could have just accepted it and would have let it just, be a fart in the wind, but instead you blew it up.
Why do you think Deep Throat's one of the only porn movies to ever get played in regular theatrical release? Because people are like, oh, this is horrifying. We can't show this. A movie about
a woman with
sex,
a clitoris.
A woman with a clit in her throat.
Oh my God.
No, we're gonna ban that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? Everybody wants to go see that.
Everybody.
Now.
Huge.
Everybody wants to know.
Did you watch The Deuce? No,
I haven't watched The Deuce.
I watched
hear
the
it's very
whole
good.
thing. It is so well. The art direction and the styling. I'm a movie snob when it comes to anything that's a period piece.
Mm-hmm.
Snob. I will be taken out of a scene in a fucking cunt hair of a second if something is wrong. And I lived in New York City for 16 years. I still have an apartment there. Like New York City in the 70s is when I started going there, and in the 80s, and they nailed that shit so hard. James Franco is killing it. What's her name?
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh my God.
Maggie
Unreal.
Gyllenhaal's a great actress.
Unreal performance.
Fantastic actress.
And all the other girls, like they're killing it. They're killing it.
And James Franco's playing a dual role in
he's
that,
playing
right?
twins, so he's playing kind of like a little bit more of a responsible asshole, and then a total fucking asshole.
Great. I would love to see that.
It's really good. You should watch it.
I am a big fan of James Franco's acting too.
Me too.
He did a fantastic job in 127 Hours. Obviously got nominated for an Oscar. Won some awards. You got to see it.
Okay.
It's very, very high tension movie.
Sure.
The sound design's great. The acting's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one man tour de force.
Hard.
If I can use
when
that
the camera's on you and
yeah.
nobody else for 2 hours.
Then, of course, one of my top movies of all time, Spring Breakers, where he plays.
Don't even get me started about how much I love that movie.
Spring Breakers is one of the best movies to be made ever in history. It's in my top 5. I think my top 3 even.
I would agree that it's probably I love that movie.
Yeah,
I love that movie, and I'm not a huge Harmony Korine fan.
I've never watched any of his movies before this.
I've always, I mean, Kids came out. I hung out with all those guys because I was in New York during that time and friendly with all of them and all of that stuff. And like, yes, it was a very important movie, but the rest of his movies, like I sometimes have a hard time with just when movies do things for the sake of. That's my opinion. It might not necessarily be true.
Right.
But when I saw Spring Breakers, I was like, yes, like he sung my tune. And mostly
that
because
tune is dubstep.
And mostly because of James Franco and that scene when he starts sucking the gun, like my heart on for that scene, like as just a woman or a man and a man woman, and just like don't even get me started.
The look at my shit scene.
My shit.
Look at my shit.
Fuck.
Look at all my shit. I got shorts. Every fucking
I got
color.
cologne.
I smell nice. I smell nice. And he's
playing the piano, and the girls are dancing. It just lines up with every fucking like fantasy in my brain, every cell.
And you know what I really love about that movie is that it is marketed to the people who it's making fun of. The movie was marketed to everybody who's going to go out and go
that opening
spring
sequence
break.
When the girls are like, brrr, like their tops are going up, the music, the dubstep is going. It's like so. You know what? I hope it was marketed to them. I really hope they had a moment of clarity while that movie was playing, and they were like, "Fuck, who am I?"
I think that's exactly what it should have.
Who am I?
That opening scene. I remember this was one of the first movies after I moved to Los Angeles that I ever saw in theaters. In LA.
And it must have been amazing.
And I saw it in the fucking
theater.
Cinerama Dome.
Tits,
ArcLight.
like like tits, like and just like wet, shiny, and like
it's
fucking,
just like it looks. But that's the thing; they managed to take all that and make it look unappealing, which is the genius of this movie.
But so good, so bad. So good, so bad.
And just 'cause oh man, what a great movie.
Totally.
So
I
good,
agree.
so bad.
And not every and people are very polarized on that. Whenever I tell people that I love that movie, they're like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Dude, yes.
Now let's go. Let's continue talking about unappealing things.
Let's do it.
Let's go to our now recurring segment, This Week in Hollywood Predators.
Okay.
Drum roll.
Might go on forever.
It very well might. We have this week a handful of names have come out,
Sure.
but the most important one that I think, very timely given the success of Coco, is John Lasseter
Yep.
of Pixar
Yes.
and Disney Animation.
Yes.
So this story, courtesy of The Hollywood Reporter, John Lasseter taking leave of absence from Pixar amid quote-unquote missteps. So this is a very interesting turn of events as far as the whole version of this Hollywood harassment scandal that has been playing out for the past couple of months. John Lasseter is the first person to take not ownership, but to take the reins and get himself out of there instead of somebody else officially coming out and outing him.
I'm not really familiar with what happened. So did he come forward himself and say, "Hey, this is what I did"? So somebody didn't pull the covers on him.
Exactly. He was not unearthed.
Wow.
He came to the surface himself.
Wow.
So what had been going on, according to all of the news of this week, and especially to this Hollywood Reporter article, so there was a story that was being prepared about John Lasseter to begin with.
Uh-huh.
And there were rumors, because Rashida Jones, who's writing Toy Story 4, left the project.
Oh.
And there are rumors that it was directly related to that sexual assault, to the scandal that is now mounting against John Lasseter.
Okay.
But she released a statement, and her writing partner released a statement saying that it had nothing to do with Lasseter specifically, just with the culture at Pixar, which he kind of cultivated.
Yeah.
So what happened was Lasseter, in his statement, in the most fucking gross Disney way possible, said he's leaving because of unwanted hugs, which makes him sound like a costume character who just got like a slap on the wrist. What happened was he would get drunk in the office and he would get handsy with people, to the point where there were stories coming out about women in meetings who would pull a move called the Lasseter.
Oh, great.
Where they would turn themselves in such a way that he couldn't put his hands on their legs.
Sure.
Or on their bodies.
So essentially, like, they're talking over their shoulder the whole time. Like,
yeah.
like
just completely twisted around in the chair. Oh, my God. I can't. He is a man who's making children's movies, who literally brought Disney animation from the brink and revitalized it with Pixar and helped engineer that merger. This is this story really, really caught me off guard and really made me sad.
What? No, why? Like, what shocked you about that?
I think what shocked me about it, and I guess I shouldn't be shocked because this is something that we are now learning and continuing to learn, is going to affect people from all different stripes of this industry.
Of course.
Is that someone who's so heavily involved in doing stuff for kids and really, really great at what he does?
Kids mean nothing.
Exactly.
I've always been frustrated by, when people die of an overdose and they have children, or people do stupid things because they have children or whatever. And I'm like, kids don't work. You don't kids as a device. Like you're not a better person because you have children or because there's children present. They don't work. Of course, he's going to be exactly who he is. Yes, he found his niche, right? Making movies for children.
Right.
But that does not mean that he fucking respects children. It doesn't mean that he, the idea of taking care of molding minds, changed his next decision. Kids don't work. They don't work. If that's already in you, it's in you. So this is how his reckoning had to come down. Yeah.
It really, oh man. It's one of those things that it's like, it to me, I'm kind of speechless.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
It's hard to talk about. Like, I feel like with every other person who
it made sense to you, you're like, of course he's a fucking dick.
Yeah,
of course
Sylvester
he's a
Stallone,
douchebag.
fucking, of course I can see that coming.
Cradle my balls,
Steven Seagal,
right?
Yeah, Louis C.K., we knew all that shit
course.
already. Absolutely. Harvey Weinstein,
sure.
Abso-fucking-lutely. But this just, it's like, it caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
And you're right. You make the most cogent point that I think I've heard about anything with John Lasseter so far, is that kids are not, you can't use them as a device.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
I mean, I don't know what kind of household you were brought up in. I mean, were you brought up with like nice, normal people or
Relatively normal.
Like normal people?
Religious upbringing, nice parents,
Yeah,
parents stay
community,
together, community,
sure, all that
stuff. Yeah.
I was raised in, in a very challenging, transaction, and you would think that kids would, change someone's what they want to do or should do, and I haven't seen that works. And plus, and being in recovery for a long time and watching people unfortunately kill themselves, I mean, Philip Seymour Hoffman, he had 3 children. You know what I mean? Like, you would think that the kids would work, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They don't work.
They just don't work?
Nope.
So what Lasseter's doing now is he's going to take a 6-month sabbatical, and he says that he hopes that this will help him get the opportunity to take better care of himself, to recharge and be inspired, and ultimately return with the insight and perspective, I need to be the leader you deserve. This is from his memo that he released to Disney staff.
I really hope that these guys that are actually getting help actually follow up specifically in how the help is helping them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like most people, when it comes to recovery, there's usually just like a kindergarten version of it. Like, I'm going to get help. And then everybody just lets him off the hook. He got help. But it's like, yeah, but what happens in 5 or 10 years? Like, is it, are they just white knuckling it and it's going to surface in another way? Or like, how are you actually going to put this into action? Not that you know that you're a creep. How are you going to be a recovered creep?
It's got to take serious deprogramming.
Yes, and
because it's like you've been in this culture for so long, and you've been acting a certain way for so long, and nobody has said anything to you about it being wrong until really probably right now.
Oh yeah.
And anytime that if somebody did bring up an allegation before, is basically treated with a slap on the wrist, or it wasn't discussed at all
because of money,
swept under the rug
because there was so much money involved, right? So usually when people hit a bottom, if you don't have a ton of money, your bottom can be terrible quickly.
Yeah.
You become homeless, or you're stealing or what have you. Your bottom can be terrible. But when there's tons of money, then there has to be an actual spiritual bottom, which it can be achieved, right? People with tons of money, get recovery all the time. Look at these people, right? But it can slow down the process because the bottom is, he didn't lose his job. If anything, he's creating more and better stuff, and it's just more and more money's coming in, and everybody has to fucking literally suck it up because this guy is writing their check.
Right.
What are they going to do? Get rid of that guy? No, they're not going to get rid of that guy.
Right.
They're not going to fight that guy. They can't fight that guy.
They can't fight that guy.
They can't even.
Yeah.
Don't even try.
What are you going to do? Because if you fight back against the person who saved your company and you oust that person, the void might consume everything else.
Which is really, really terrible, terrible place to be for anybody involved. That your earning power or, your ability to like fucking work or whatever, or to be successful, it all comes down to not how we care about another person as a person, but the fact that this is, how I'm going to pay my rent.
Right.
The big picture, little picture.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the future of John Lasseter in his career at Disney. I think that, it's going to take, there's been articles that have come out since he announced that he was stepping back and taking a sabbatical that detailed a little bit more about what he was doing, and it's, the stuff I was telling you about just now with the with the Lasseter, and the way he would get handsy and get drunk in the office, and I echo your sentiment, is that I hope that him and others who have not criminal things brought up against them but are still getting caught up in all this harassment stuff that's going on can find the time to actually work at making a change in the way that they.
What a great time to take the opportunity.
What a great time.
No, seriously, like everybody's doing it. It wouldn't be weird for a guy to come forward and be like, you know what? This has shined a light in a dark corner of my mind and my psyche. And it's funny because even just being in comedy, when this stuff started all coming out, I had a few guy comics send me instant messages apologizing, which I thought was fucking awesome. And I was like, thank you. Like, that is fucking everything for a woman in comedy to fucking actually get apologized to. How fucking awesome, right? what a wonderful thing to turn that into a collective consciousness, no matter where, whether if you're working at Subway or the gas station or the fucking library or wherever, for you just to be like, okay, or if you don't have to come forward with it because it may jeopardize your life, but to make a living change. Hey, I'm actually not going to do this again in the future, or I'm going to learn how to fucking like catch myself when this is happening.
Yep, live in a way that you don't have to go around apologizing again.
That would be so great.
That'd be so great, wouldn't it?
It really would.
You know what else I hope for John Lasseter?
What?
Is that he comes back from the 6-month sabbatical and stops wearing fucking Hawaiian shirts in the office. You see this shit?
You know, this is where taste... Taste is a very tricky thing.
And I don't care how whimsical your movies are. Show some fucking decorum, John Lasseter.
Yeah, the Tommy Bahama or whatever it is that you're doing has no... Literally, people must be in such fear of you that they cannot be like, you can't wear that shirt out of the fucking
that's
house.
That's the culture we got going on at Disney. You're so afraid of your boss, you can't tell him that he should not wear resort wear.
Essentially, anybody within the sound of my voice that's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, you might be a perpetrator, and people might be afraid of you.
You could be.
Tell you, you got to take off that fucking Hawaiian shirt.
You know, one time I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt here at the store, and I had it wasn't a Hawaiian shirt. It was a floral shirt. It had flowers on it.
Okay, well that
Not
might be
a Hawaiian
different.
Shirt.
Gucci has flowers all over it.
This is from Top Man. This is a comfortable, it was a nice, good-looking shirt.
Understood.
But my friend Jaron, you know Jaron?
Love Jaron.
Jaron is great, and he followed me on potluck one day, this day that I was wearing this floral shirt. He was like, "Look at Jay, white guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt in the wintertime."
He was like,
"That's what kind of problems white people have."
The privilege. How wonderful for you that's what you can do.
If I could speak to the white guys for just 1 second.
We're all speaking to the white guys
just
right now.
Mitigate your Hawaiian shirt usage. I know some people who have buckets of Hawaiian shirts, whole closets worth of them.
You got to stop.
Just keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Let's talk about some other stuff that we hate, which is
do it.
The movie that we have brought you in here today to talk about.
I actually reached out to you.
You did. And as soon as you brought up Wonder Woman, I was like, this is it.
Yes, let's do it.
So, Melanie Vesey, you hate Wonder Woman.
It is not a popular opinion.
It is very unpopular opinion.
It is not a popular opinion. However, it is mine, and I'm going to preface that with everything that I'm about to say, that this is my opinion, and it doesn't mean that I don't like the women who were in it or created it or what have you. It was more about what happened after the process of the movie. I mean, and just the fact that you do a podcast about movies, like I am a movie buff. Like I can talk about movies forever, and very rarely people will talk with me about movies as much as I want to talk about movies. So any chance I can get to talk about movies, I'm fucking stoked.
Let's talk.
But this movie was absolutely painful for me to endure. Just painful.
Really?
Yeah. Really, really painful.
So what was it? Let's break it down.
Let's do it.
It sounds like there are two different sort of aspects to why you don't like this movie, which is the actual experience in the movie and then the aftermath of the movie. So let's talk first about the movie itself.
Okay.
So I haven't seen Wonder Woman. I missed the boat on it when I was in theaters. Frankly, it was one of those movies that I heard about and I was like, maybe I should go see this in theaters. And then it just kind of got in and out, and I was like, and I'd heard enough kind of mixed reviews from everyday people, not just from, because critics love this movie. It got critically lauded. It got something like in the 90s or high 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, and everybody was like, this is great. It's a superhero movie for women. And then I would hear about from just people who saw the movie, they're like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. It wasn't marketed to you.
Yeah.
It wasn't marketed to you. It was marketed to women.
Yeah.
It's this movie that's going to empower you. This movie, and I think that whenever there's expectations on the board, whenever I come into anything with expectations, it's a very slippery slope to be let down.
Yeah. And it's obviously a very charged political climate for women in the wake of the election last year. And the marketing for this movie really, I think, highlighted girl power. And hey, let's go. This is the superhero movie for women, by women, of women. And And what did you think about that when you actually saw the movie? How did that feel?
I felt like it was a very dirty trick because even you just said by women. It is not by women. It is by one woman.
Just Patty Jenkins.
And for me, like my heart's already racing, like how angry that makes me because written by a man, edited by a man, produced mostly by men. There are a couple of female producers in there. And Patty Jenkins, I felt like, was in there as kind of like, hey, guys, we got a female director. It's a ladies' movie. But anybody that knows anything about the filmmaking process knows that a film is made 3 times, once when it's written, once when it's directed, and once when it's edited, which means 2 out of 3 of those experiences were with the male point of view and the male gaze, which is not my point of view. And I don't mean to say like this movie had to be perfect for me. Believe me, I honestly believe that any movie that goes from a spark in someone's mind to being in front of me playing is a fucking miracle. Like it's a miracle how hard it is to get movies made.
Oh yeah.
Like seriously.
This movie was in development since 1996.
Yeah, I know. I believe it. I believe that, right? And I'm not discrediting that in any way, shape, or form. So I do understand how difficult it is to make movies. And I don't think that like, oh, this has to be absolutely perfect for me. Like I get it. However, when I'm told that this is the movie that's going to be like fill that, woman-shaped hole inside of me and going to make me feel, and then I went and I was like, oh, you just got one chick? Like I could go down a list of Academy Award-winning writers, editors, directors, producers. You could have really gone there and had every single woman on that fucking crew been award-winning. And it would have been a fucking fierce-ass fucking movie. Then you would have kind of gotten me, right? Because I'm not just always concerned with what's on the film, on the screen, but what's happening behind it. But to me, all I heard was, hey, we're not sure if we could give this all to a bunch of ladies. We're going to give it to some dudes we know. Because we have a lot of money on this, Melanie. We have a lot of money on resting on this. So we want to go with something we feel safe on because, we're just not sure about women. And that's the message that I felt like I got. It felt like a risk that they couldn't have just gotten fucking Jill Soloway, who's fucking like the woman of the hour right now, who's got a company called Topple the Patriarchy, who's crushing it on fucking Transparent despite the fucking Jeffrey Tambor terribleness that's happening. But speaking the language of women for women and, all the genders in between, right? And then any editor, female editor, I don't know, get Martin Scorsese's fucking editor. Yeah. She's a fucking woman. What the fuck, you guys? You guys don't fuck with me with just, oh, here's the cutout of the lady that we got. And a director is an important role of this. I'm not saying she's a cutout. I'm not discrediting her directing at all. I'm just saying that when I feel like so like lied to. I think that's the thing about it.
Yeah,
right?
you said it felt like a dirty trick.
Yeah, it did. And so like, and especially written by a man. So I don't know, like if I give you 2 pieces of cake and some frosting, you're going to make a fucking cake. You're not going to make a fucking window. You know what I mean? So they handed her a movie written by a man with a man's point of view of a woman. And that to me became very clear. So then I can kind of jump over to the other side of it, which was what was happening in the movie, which was that, and I know that they had to represent her as being naive and they had to, but there was so much of the movie where she was going, but I don't understand. Why is there war? And Chris Pine is like, well, it's war. I mean, you just, come on, just shut up. You know what I mean? So here's this woman confused all the time. Like, why can't I wear this? Because it's, like, and then a dude mansplaining through the entire movie. And as
you wouldn't think that Wonder Woman would have so much mansplaining in it.
But a man who doesn't know what fucking mansplaining is will inadvertently put mansplaining in a fucking movie marketed to fucking women, right? So, and then what happened after was I just made a very general post on Facebook just to be like, hey, I want to have a dialogue about this movie because I left that movie fucking pissed the fuck off, right? And I had a bunch of women who were telling me that it was the best thing they'd ever seen. Now, I also have to kind of say that I am also gay. I'm married to a woman. I live a life that has very few men in it. I don't ask a man what I need to do. I don't live. I'm with men a lot, and believe me, I respect men so much. If anything, I'm mostly jealous of men. Like, how wonderful to be able to go through life with the freedom of being a man.
It's a pretty sweet
so
deal.
Sweet. You know, I think about the dudes in comedy. I'm like, how fucking awesome. You don't have to think twice about what show you're going to. You don't have to fucking like there's that guy. I seriously am like, oh, there's that guy that fucking holds my hand too tight when I fucking like and there's that guy who fucking got mad at me that one time. You know, like the shit that I have to navigate to fucking like go to a comedy show and fucking like, you know, kind of like boost myself about it. So to be a dude, how fucking great. But I don't live a life where I have to check in with a man. And I have had relationships with men. I have a child with a man. I really have to have, it is in my DNA, I have to have equality at every step of the game.
Okay.
And I cannot maintain equality when I'm in a relationship with a man. It just, I'm like, why do I have to do the dishes? Why, you know, like, it's just like, why is your career more important? Like, it just drives me fucking crazy. So to actually see this played out, it obviously touched a lot of like, you know, pain points inside of me. But most of the women that were responding were straight women. And I was like, of course, men, you wouldn't notice it as much because maybe you actually like mansplaining. Maybe you like it when a man takes charge. That feels good to you. Mm-hmm. You actually enjoy it. You know what I mean? But for me, it was really, really frustrating. And then I was having this conversation with these women, and 3 men came in to then explain to me about how I missed the point in Wonder Woman.
Oh, great.
And that was like, guys, I understand what my point of view and my experience is with this movie. I'm talking with other women about this experience with this movie from a woman's point of view. I don't need, and they would just keep coming back. Well, I'm sorry that you missed that. And I'm sorry that you, and I'm sorry that you, and you know, how come you didn't see, and why didn't you understand? And I'm like, I got it. But this is the exact, this moment right here.
This little slice of my comment thread on Facebook.
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really painful.
So, man, I mean, I can imagine. That is, to feel like you're going into this movie and that's always the problem with expectations.
Oh no, yeah.
It's all, expectations are made to be broken. You're always gonna they're rarely gonna work out.
Resentments in pre-production. That's what they say.
Oh my god! But that's the thing. You make an excellent point. Is that if they really wanted this movie to live up to the message that it is saying that it's going to live up to in the marketing, and that it's saying it's going to live up to in any critical statement about the movie, and that it's saying it's going to live up to in the sort of overt message of the movie based on what you've told me.
Yeah.
The fact that they can't back it up on the production end, and the fact that they can't ultimately even back it up during the actual movie, it's very hypocritical.
Yeah. Well, so there's also this, do you know about the Bechdel test?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So for those of you that don't know what the Bechdel test is, so the Bechdel test is a test that you can give any TV show and or movie, and it has 2 like steps to it. One is that there have to be 2 women with names. Mm-hmm. So it can't just be like...
It can't be waitress.
Yes, which is like, I can't believe they had to add that because so many female characters didn't even have a fucking name in a movie or a TV show because they didn't feel like they deserved one. So they have to be more than one main character, right?
That is a woman.
With a name. Then the other one is the 2 women have to talk about something other than a man. Right. So now, it's funny because I saw Wonder Woman in the theater and I was like, this doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And I was
You would think it would.
But I was confused. I don't think I was confused. I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Because I often second guess myself. So weird. I'm a woman. Anyway, so then I was coming back from the Motor City Comedy Festival. I was like, I'm going to talk with Jay. I should revisit this movie. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong all the time. And to be like, let me revisit this movie. Maybe there's something that I completely missed. Maybe I just hadn't eaten that day. Maybe I was in some sort of rage. Like, what the fuck? I rewatched the movie and I actually took notes through the movie. So the first 6 minutes of the movie, they're on this island, and it's all women talking about. And the first 6 minutes, they're talking about Diana, and they don't want her to teach her how to fight, and all this stuff. And then 6 minutes in, they start talking about Zeus. Now it's a god, but it's a male god.
Right.
So now they're talking about a man. Right. Then a guy shows up on the island, Chris Pine, and then she leaves the island, and then she's the main character of the movie. Now there is a very small character, which is a secretary, and they mostly talk about how inept the male character is.
Talking
Right?
about the man.
Right, yeah, exactly. So
the inept man who is also
mansplaining through the entire movie, like, how dare he? You know, but yet the only reason why she saves the universe is because he's gonna die. So, which makes me was like, wow. Like, I was so angry about that. So then I was like, wow, like, there literally 6 minutes of this movie passes the Bechdel test, and then the other 2 hours and 35 minutes or however long.
Yeah, that's the other. This movie's so fucking long.
So long.
141 minutes.
Yes, it was as long as World War II. So, I mean, it's just fucking long. So, but then I actually looked at the Bechdel test website last night, and they say that Wonder Woman does pass the Bechdel test. And I looked at the forum, and the Bechdel test actually has total limitations. I thought that the movie itself had to be judged as a whole, right? That this entire movie had to have 2 women that were talking about something other than a man. It is not true.
What?
The Bechdel test, actually, you just have to have one moment in the movie where 2 women are talking about something other than a man, and it can pass the Bechdel test. That's how flimsy the fucking test has to be in order for fucking movies and TV shows to fucking pass.
So this whole test that is being used as sort of, this is like, feminism in cinema kind of hinges on this test.
Yes.
And the fact that a movie can pass this test.
Yeah.
It's not, it can't even live up to its own.
Yeah, so it does.
That can't live up to its own hype either.
Yeah, exactly. So it does have limitations, which is, I was very, because there was this person kept on chiming in, like, you guys, this movie doesn't pass the test. But then other people were coming in being like, it doesn't matter at the amount. It just has to pass.
I had heard that it has to be a whole scene has to elapse.
Then it would, because the first 6 minutes does have multiple scenes. Robin Wright and, Gal Gadot, and then the woman who plays the mother, whose name I can't remember. So there are multiple moments where.
Gotcha.
So yes, technically it would pass the Bechdel test in the first 6 minutes of this movie.
You would think that there would be other moments throughout the whole rest of the movie that it would fit the criteria.
It was just a CGI fight scene for like literally the last 2 hours of the movie with her fighting, which was.
This blows my mind.
Which was, I can't stand it. Like, I don't mean to sound like a get off my lawn, person that's like, I just want to watch real people talking about real things. You know what I mean? But I feel like they really had an opportunity to do that. They really could have gone for it and really, really like bet big and be like, we're going to get all fucking award-winning chicks. Like, seriously, all of them Oscar-winning.
Yeah.
You could have done it. It's not impossible. It's there.
Oh, it's not impossible at all. Even from top to bottom. Yep. I've worked on a handful of sets.
Yeah.
When I first moved to LA, that was what my career was. Mm-hmm. And the amount of women that I worked with just in that small time alone, I know that there are women working at every level of a film production.
Yeah.
From PAs to
truck drivers,
grip, truck drivers,
yep.
Camera, art.
Craft.
Yeah. Everything. You could fill the whole thing.
The whole thing.
And the fact that they didn't and are trying to be like, but this is the girl power movie.
It's for women.
It's for women. Oh my God. #girlboss.
But designed by a man.
Yeah. Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
The male gaze. If you put a woman in charge of the male gaze, it's still a male gaze.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, and I was like, and I was thinking about it, like, if you had to make a movie about dogs and had it written by a cat, that cat would be like, dogs are stupid.
Yeah.
Dogs fucking shed everywhere. Dogs are idiots, right? But if you had a movie about dogs written by dogs would be like, we give fucking unconditional love. Yep. We fucking help people heal because we're like, the point of view would be so vastly different. I don't know
but
why.
That's the problem is the cat's writing the movie and it's tricking all these dumb bitches into being like, oh my God, this movie about dogs is great.
That is also the same reason why, Trump, when you actually look at the amount of women that voted for Trump, it's staggering.
Yeah.
So women despite how the incredible advances that we've made, there are still women that really need a man in their life to tell them what to do, what to think, how to feel, and they don't feel loved or in control or turned on or what have you unless there is a man there telling them what they don't have the thoughts themselves, right?
Right.
That's my judgment. I don't necessarily know if that's true. But
I'd say it's probably pretty accurate.
yeah. So, and that's what really scares me. And I feel like those are the women that are totally like, yes, I get it. This rings true for me.
There's such I think that there's such a importance being placed now on female agency, just sort of in everyday life, that has not been present before in everyday society. And what that means is there are going to be a lot of women who have to sort of come to a reckoning of, oh, this whole world is open to me in a way that I did not think about before.
Oh my God, totally.
And so now it's like, okay, yeah, I can make some of these choices. I can take some action. I can do things the way I can feel the way I want to feel. I can do things the way that I want to do them.
Oh my God, totally.
Yeah.
And then to get even deeper in this topic, because I've actually had experiences where I've had what would be usually the male character, like keeping me down or whatever, but that it was another woman, right? Mm-hmm. So what really comes down to it, because gender is just gender, right? But it's mostly just power. It's people of power, right? So
as we've learned again with this whole harassment scandal,
right?
Too.
Exactly, right? So. And like I had a film that got into a script that got into a film festival, and I was given a mentor, and my mentor did some terrible, terrible things to me, like just verbally abusive, got really drunk, then came on to me, and it was a woman. And I called the festival and I said, this is what happened. And I even had called 3 other fellows of that festival, and they were like, she did the same thing to me. And I called the festival and I said, this is what happened. And they were like, yeah, she's loved by us. We're not going to do a thing about it. And so I just had to take it. And it's one of those things, too, where it's like that incredible article that was written by, is it Jan Killerman? Whatever, about the Louis C.K. stuff. Sorry to hit my mic. About, so when you, it's almost like, I'm going to dominate you and make you feel uncomfortable here so you don't come back.
The Lori Kilmartin?
Lori
Kilmartin.
Yeah, Kim.
Amazing comic, great, and this was a great article. I'll put a link to it in the show notes.
So important for people to read, because it and this isn't just about men and women. This is about people of power, right? So I even called a bunch of women, and I was like, "Hey, this other woman is doing this thing to me, and this is really inappropriate. I've been chosen. I'm one of 8 to be a part of this festival. Mm-hmm. I am the only woman on this fucking panel. You've put me with the only other woman, right? But there's this problem that people have, which is that there's a finite universe, right? There's not enough to go around, so there's not enough room for me to be an important lesbian filmmaker, and you to be a lesbian filmmaker. So I'm going to make you feel not wanted here. I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm going to make you not want to come to the parties. I'm going to make you not want to come to the the gatherings and be a part of the community, because I'm going to be here. And when I left that transaction with that person, and I called my actual real mentor in real life, and I told her what happened, and she was like, wow, she really must want power over you. And I was like, it hadn't even really occurred to me. And I was like, yes. And then she said something kind of prolific. She goes, there are 2 kinds of people in the world, Melanie. Mm-hmm. There are trains, and there are hobos running for trains. So you're either the train, or you're going to be the hobo running for the train. And I was like, okay, right? So even when something shitty happens, this is how I continue in comedy and in film, or in places where it's just male dominated. It's just the way that it is. And I'm either going to be the person that's not in control, or I'm going to be the person that's in control.
Right.
Which is really challenging when you don't have the power, right? And then the second you get the power, how can you then not be the person with the power that's, wielding it unfairly with people?
Mm-hmm. I think that there's a quote in this Lori Kilmartin article that I think really sums that up very well. We are all avoiding someone who could help us make money.
Yes!
No matter what, from top to bottom.
Oh, my God.
Because at the end of the day,
oh my God,
there's so much to be said about the amount of power that we let others wield over our
yes.
lives. No matter how much we try and be in control of what's going on, there's always going to be at least someone out there who has something that we want.
Yep.
And that we are afraid to confront to try and get that thing.
But
or even not even to confront, just to talk, to have the dialogue.
Right. But if that person is fucking scaring the shit out of you, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, what is your life going to look like? Also, too, like, are you going to freak yourself out so much that you have to use every single tool in your toolbox, emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, to go talk with that person to freak you out so that you're dead by the time you're 55 because you're having because your adrenals are fucking dumping every fucking 5 minutes?
Oh,
like,
man.
Like, it's not healthy, right? Which is why women retract, which is why men die earlier, right? Because, you guys are like, kill, go get him, yes, whatever, no one's stopping me, whatever. And women are like, yeah, but maybe I just want to, maybe this is just too hard. Or maybe
more like, that self-preservation.
A little bit. Well, and also, too, because if we're all dead, then there's no babies. And then, no, that's a fucking deal.
Yeah.
So, serenity, peace, these things are important to being alive. It's important to having a good and fruitful, long life. So, how willing are you to use every single tool that you have to fucking go and talk to that person?
Yeah.
Hopefully there's more than just one person.
I hope so.
But I went to go see Eliza Schlesinger the other day, and she did this girls' night out, girls' night in. Only girls allowed in the theater. Jessica Wellington opened up for her, and also this other woman whose name I can't remember, who was amazing. And Eliza was like, they say that there's enough to go around, and she's like, we all know that there's not, which was kind of like the most amazing and saddest part about that night, because we're always told, like, it's an abundant universe. And she's like, it's not. And for women in Hollywood, it's not.
Right.
Which is why that woman felt like she needed to fucking like sink her hook in before I got too far, right? To make sure that I fucking didn't
that you knew
mature,
don't step out of line.
that I didn't mature.
You're gonna take my spot.
Yeah.
Man, what a discussion we've had about this movie. I'm really glad that I've been able to have you come in today.
I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about it.
This has been really great. I will still probably not see Wonder Woman.
If you're gonna be traveling around soon. If you have 3 hours to kill on a fucking 12-hour flight,
God, do
back
I want
to Cannes, back to Cannes.
Kill 3 hours? Go back to Cannes. We'll see. Melanie, thank you so much for coming on.
It's
today.
been a pleasure.
This
You're
is
the best.
Very enlightening. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
Where can our listeners find you?
MelanieVesey.com. I perform all the time. I've got show dates coming up in New York, and I'm going to be filming my comedy special in February. So MelanieVesey.com.
Great. And you can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram. JLightComedy.com for show dates. I have some stuff coming up in December, and we'll have all that posted soon. And this has been another episode of Blockbusting.
Woohoo!
Guys, go see something good for a change.
Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.